Hey y'all, welcome to Sex Ed for You, the podcast where research meets reality.
I am Lauren, a certified holistic sexuality educator.
And I'm Holland, and I have a Bachelor of Science in Public Health.
Sex Ed for You's podcast is for people who want to date and have great sex that is fun and safe and enjoyable. We like to empower our listeners to make informed decisions that lead to values-based living.
Hey.
Hi. Oh. I just swallowed my ginger too, but I didn't. I got it back again.
Oh, that was a journey. The ginger chew had a journey too.
But you said that's a little dirty. Not it had a journey, and I was like, well, I guess so.
I guess it is dirty.
So I deep throated my ginger chew,
and then undeep throated it.
And then was like, nope, no thank you. We've all been there. Gag reflex is natural.
It does it to us.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm very excited. You said we're talking about something that I don't know about yet.
We are. We are talking today. Hold on. I realized I forgot to set our timer. So I'm going to do that really quickly.
And I'm going to turn my phone off.
Oh, samesies. That's a good idea. Because I got all these Hinge notifications.
Ooh,
going off.
Should be hinging.
Okay. Hey.
Hi.
We are going to talk about a multitude of things, but the broad topic of sexualities, and then honing in on bisexuality, the nuance of it, and how, I don't know, I just had such a good conversation with our new intern Stacy this morning about it.
Shout out.
And
welcome.
It made me want to talk about it with you.
I think that's a great idea because I haven't even told you that it kind of came up with some friends of mine the other day too.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just going to spiel about it for a minute.
We love it when Holland spiels. Go for it.
Might be a long spiel.
We're here.
So, we all know Holland grew up in purity culture. Mm-hmm. And because of said purity culture, I was totally fine with repressing the gayish, the lesbian part of my bisexuality, because I was like, oh, it's fine, I can just like men forever, and I'll get married and all will be well, and no one ever needs to know this about me, it's fine. And I was just so okay with that, and I think that happens to a lot of bisexual people, because coming out poses such a big risk when you're like, well, I can just keep this to myself, and in my really, really tight circles no one will ever know, no one will ever see me differently, and then I don't have to deal with it. But then you come into the identity crisis of but this is such a big part of who I am. And Stacey and I specifically this morning were talking about when you're in a hetero relationship or you present hetero, then it's but this is such a big part of who I am. I don't want to lose that aspect of myself because of this circumstance that I'm in. And it can be really frustrating to feel like a truly integrated member of the queer community when you're in a hetero presenting relationship, or when you're not currently, interested in the same sex. And we talked about this on the drive home about how bisexuality can mean so many things. And I think it's Kinsey found, sexuality is such a broad spectrum. And so bisexuality, I think, in the nature of the name, it almost feels like, oh, well, you're 50% into women and 50% into men. But in actuality, it presents so differently in so many different people, and it can be really beautiful to see that and see that, I'm interested in this aspect of women, this aspect of men. I love to be in relationship with women, but I love to have sex with a penis. It's very interesting to see those different variances between one bisexual person to another. But it can also, again, catch 22 of being oh, well, I'm not bisexual enough. I'm not queer enough, or I'm not straight enough. And so there's just, a multitude of things about being bisexual that come up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, first of all, I loved that you brought up Kinseys Scale is what it's been affectionately named for a long, long, long time. And that is just that throughout one's lifetime, they slide along this scale that on one side is heterosexual and the other side is homosexual.
Yeah.
Meaning right? We have a same-sex attraction versus a opposite-sex attraction. And most human beings slide all around that scale in their lifetime if they're willing to be truly honest with themselves.
Yeah. I think that's the key component, too, is because I truly think that most people are a little gay.
But if we just step back and think of it, you and I got to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. We got to see so many bodies. And I think that we all have so much internalized homophobia in this culture, especially, that we just can't get over ourselves enough to be like, no, of course I'm a little bit gay.
Yeah, like that's attractive.
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
Why do we do that? I don't understand.
And in the same way, if I was saying that like bisexuality, you don't necessarily have to be romantically attracted to one of the sexes that you're attracted to. No. You can just be like, wow, that is an objectively very beautiful body. And that's gorgeous.
Yes.
Maybe you're only 0.5% a little bit gay. But I think the internalized homophobia that we have deeply, deeply rooted is like, fearful. I almost see fear come up in people so often, especially, I was going to pick a gender and say one, but no, I've seen it in men and women. When I have this conversation with them, not this conversation, but talk about anything related to homosexual activity, like there's almost always this fear factor of like, oh, no, like I couldn't. And it's like their eyes get wide. And to me, I'm like, just like, take the pressure off of it and just accept and see and love that is beautiful, that you can find the same sex gorgeous. You don't have to necessarily want to be in romantic partnership with them.
Right. Do you think also our cultures here in the United States also have an obsession with labels?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I see in clients, in folks who message us, stuff like that, a hesitancy to step into exploring their sexual orientations. Also because of everyone's obsession with labels, right? Like we have this term bi-curiosity, right? That one could be bi-curious.
Yeah.
And it almost makes me giggle that we even have to have that label.
We have that term, 100%.
It's like, my God, yes, you are enjoying. What are you enjoying right now, right? My kid and I will make these jokes like, hopefully someday no one has to come out to their parents.
Yeah.
It is purely a conversation of, oh, wow, like who is fascinating you right now? Who's turning you on these days? What is? You and I always say labels are helpful until they're not. If it really helps a person go, oh, wow, I see myself in that label, yay.
Yeah.
But I want our listeners to understand that the research says that we all move across the scale.
Yeah.
So give yourself permission to move across the scale. The way it came up in my little conversation that I want to get back to some of yours was there's this app, Marco Polo, where you can send video messages, and I have one with two friends of mine, and one of them is like out and bi and has been for forever. One of them is a straight woman, and there's me. And I was telling them about our birthday weekend for you and how we were in this incredible dancing space and how it just felt so safe for us to be in this space. And I said, I would think that actually Trey and I might have been one of 6, 8 people, straight people there.
Maybe. Yeah.
And then I was saying to these friends, and can I even call myself that though? Because I was like, that just doesn't feel like, even that label feels so like constrictive. Yeah. And it doesn't feel like me. I have a strong appreciation of the female body. Always have.
Yeah.
Like I worked with vulvas and vaginas for a decade before I got into the sexual health work. And when we look at the erotic mind, my mind is turned on so much by breasts and these other things. To say that I am purely straight doesn't feels
confining.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do I choose to direct my romantic and sexual attraction to a person with a penis right now? Yeah, I do. But even like that label seems so confining.
Yeah.
But yes, I definitely present like that. I present femme, present straight. And we were in a space where that was the minority, which is super cool. Super
But I don't even think you always present femme straight. This is a very gay outfit.
Thank you.
And I love it.
Audience, you can't see the rest of my outfit. But
it's all black and there's like these little loafers. There's some texture change. It's giving femme.
I think I love the term queer. I love the term, expansive. I think there's a lot of terms, but let's go back to the bisexuality thing, because I think you're exactly right. I think that there's so much confusion, and we have, sadly, inside of communities, become just as exclusive.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to explain that to Trey the other day about bisexuality specifically can be really excluded from the queer community because there are people that end up in hetero relationships and it feels exclusionary to then be like, I'm still queer, and some people will not accept that.
Right.
And it can be seen as, it can be trivialized almost into like, you chose this, like you don't have to be queer. Like, I think a lot of people who are lesbian or gay see bisexuality as an easy way to have a foot in both doors, whereas they are so oftentimes committed to only being in same-sex relationships. I mean, there's a term called gold star lesbian, where you've only ever been with women, like you've never.
Makes me actually want to punch something.
Yeah,
because it's performance-based.
It is.
I do not like that.
And it's so demoralizing to then be like, oh, well, I'm not like a gold starlet. Like, I'm not good enough. And so, yeah, it's interesting. And especially, I've said especially bisexuality so many times, but that's just because I have the experience of bisexuality. So hear me when I say that I don't have the other experiences. But I feel like bisexuality is oftentimes come into in the later years of life because it's suppressible, and like kind of what I had said earlier, that you can just I've seen so many other people do it too, where it's like, well, I don't necessarily have to come out if I just keep dating, the opposite sex. So then coming to terms with it is really difficult, and often in a hetero relationship, and you've set yourself up to constantly be in these hetero relationships. So exploring homosexuality is terrifying. For me, it's so scary because I'm like, I don't have experience, a lot of experience with women. And that can be seen as like, oh, like you're a baby lesbian. Like you're a baby, you're not gonna. And some people don't want to date women that haven't dated women, especially at like 23, 24, 25. They're like, oh, well, you don't have any experience with women. Like that's a turnoff, essentially.
This is making the educator in me like so furious. This is what I'm boiling over right here, is that it is such a ill-informed opinion, this whole thing, right? Because I truly believe that we learn the things we're supposed to learn when we're supposed to learn them. And that we come into experiences when our bodies are able to, when they feel safe enough to, when they feel secure enough to, right? So in a culture that applauds heteronormativity, right? We're like, woohoo. No wonder it takes folks a while, right? To heal themselves, to work on their traumas, to create safety within maybe a het relationship.
Yeah.
To then say, ooh, I feel bold enough and straight enough. Like it is just, I'm sorry, audience, it is ignorant.
It really
and I would
is.
love our audience to be like the new wave of, wow, let me celebrate you. Not, ugh, right? Well, like took you long enough.
Like
Or,
another one.
Of course you would.
Yeah. Yes. Like almost like a pick me. Yes. It's not a pick me thing at all.
No. And yes, to what you said about, yes, you can become straight passing, but you and I have read research that shows that it is straight passing, but it's also, I think this felt safety thing, because a reminder to the audience, I was married to a man who's now gay for a decade.
Yeah.
He did not leave our marriage to go be with another man. I think a lot of people assume that's why it ended. It didn't.
No.
I ended it because he was abusive and an alcoholic and all of these things. No, it took 2+ years for him to come to an understanding of, oh my God, I think I am gay. If that doesn't show you the truth in this, I don't know anything that would. Who are we to shame someone for their sexual discovery later in life?
Yeah.
Like, that is purity culture. That's shame.
It is. It really is.
I'm sorry. Like, it's a horse of a different color.
Yeah.
It's the same fucking thing.
It is.
We have found it makes me so angry. We work with these folks. So for those who might be new to this podcast and found it because it's all about bisexuality, I work with a lot of clients as a certified holistic sexuality educator who have been in hetero relationships for a long time and don't want to go to their deathbed without having explored pieces of their bisexuality and are looking to do it inside of a safe container. Or I work with folks swing the other way who are in same-sex relationships, whether they're gay or lesbian, who are finding, you know what, I want more than this too. Yeah. And how in the world do I go the other way? Because talk about. So I just amen to what you were saying earlier. There is so much shame within, you can't do that. Yeah. Right? You can't have called yourself a gay man. Yeah. And then want to go have sex with a vagina. Like, or you can't call yourself a lesbian and all of a sudden be craving a penis. How dare you? I say shame on us. That is the church. It is. That is any system that wants to create a codependency on the system, and we should watch out.
Yeah. It's so easy to get caught up in systems. Yeah. And like, we don't realize it, but the queer community is a system. It is something that we are building. And I think that's what's beautiful, though, is that it is still being built. Yeah. Like, we have time. We're still laying the foundation of what this is going to mean. Because if you think about it in terms of the grand timeline of the earth and humanity, queer people being accepted in society is a very, very small part of that. And granted, there are beautiful parts in like different lines where there's like different cultures that have celebrated it forever. But if we're speaking specifically into like Americanized, Westernized, UK type, like the queer community that as we know it has really only been alive since the 60s. Yeah. And even then it was still like fighting for its life in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then now it's coming to a place where it's being, how would you say that? Being allowed to rise up almost. Like we've fought for recognition. Yeah.
Yeah. Recognized might be a word. Yeah. You know, and with that, I think comes, you know, so instead of being shadowed, right, in the secrecy and the shadows, it's becoming more mainstream, I guess could be some of the words. So therefore, I think it's finding its way onto more mainstream platforms. So therefore, we're getting like clickbaity stuff, and therefore we're getting messaging that isn't working as well. And like, I think culturally it's a fascinating like thing to observe.
It is.
Like, okay, as it's not smaller and we can't define, right, things really carefully as it's becoming more big, broad strokes. Yeah. We're seeing, some things are falling apart, and that's okay. Like, it's okay. I think I always tell a client, if they stumble upon, again, a term or an Instagram account or something that feels helpful, yay, right? And it's one piece. It's one piece. It's one opinion. We owe it to ourselves to continue to do the work, right? So if you stumble into a community that feels nice, the belonging feels good, it is a system though, keep in mind, look for exclusionary behaviors. It's okay to keep a critical eye inside of spaces that feel safe for you. Do they feel safe for all? Yeah. These are good questions to keep asking. And things that are helpful now could cease to be helpful in 6 months. Yeah. It's also okay to leave spaces.
We grow.
We get to do that. And we get to unfollow accounts. And we get to follow new ones. And we get to say, my favorite line, I used to believe, then I learned, and now I think. If a label, right, if you enter into, you know, expanding your sexuality and your sexual orientation, you enter into it being bi-curious. Then you could move to bisexual. Then you could move to pansexual, right? Then you could move to, I don't know, way over to like sapiosexual, which is more like mind stuff, right? Like, it could be like, wait, actually, it's not just any body. I'm turned on by smartness. Yeah, right?
It's like not necessarily.
Thought, right? Like, way cool. Yeah. Like, dive in and keep diving until you find something that really feels beautiful for you. It doesn't need to make others.
And you also don't have to find the label.
100%. No, you don't owe it to anyone. You owe it to yourself.
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, hey, welcome to the queer community. Pick a label, put it on your chest, and tell everybody who you are. Like,
it's why, and I applaud it, it's why the flag keeps changing.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yes, we get to. Like
Yeah.
a flag, when people freak out, I'm like, that is one of the
love
most
colors.
beautiful signs.
Yeah.
We get to expand.
And that's, yeah, like we were saying, it is its own system. Our flag changing is such a beautiful way of like exemplifying it, though, that we're still building.
Yeah.
We're still learning.
Yeah.
And I think an important part of acknowledging that queerness is a system in and of itself is also to acknowledge that systems aren't just like this thing in the sky. Systems are the people. You are the system. I am the system. And so we build a better system by being better people. We learn, we expand, we allow, we encourage, we grow. It is not just, oh, well, the system's fucked. You're part of it. Change it. If you want it to be changed, change yourself. Work on yourself. Build a place that is safe and the place that you want to be. Build the system that you want to be a part of.
Amen. And the only thing I would add is that systems built by humans are inherently flawed because humans are too.
Oh, yeah.
And so surround yourself with humans who are willing to say, oops, my bad. We use this term ouch in the sexuality field all the time, right? That we should be in spaces, in containers that are full of everyone feeling empowered to say ouch and then repair it.
Yeah.
Because if we continue in this world to refuse to consensually communicate after our feelings have been hurt, the systems won't change. I know that we all get wounded, and it is so hard to say, ouch, you hurt me. But what an opportunity. What an opportunity to repair and to then become stronger, and then to write in different policies that protect that from happening again. It is the biggest gift we can give these inherently human systems, is for us to be brave enough to go, ouch, that hurt. Can we do that differently?
Yeah.
And then for those in leadership to say, oh my goodness, wow. Yeah. When systems lose that little nuance right there, I think it becomes really dangerous too.
Yeah.
We are all imperfect people. And I think true egalitarian pleasure, true healing of all is that messy gray area sometimes too, of true brokenheartedness over causing pain, and then seeking to communicate until healing has been done.
Yeah.
And until new frameworks are in place.
Yeah.
Of course, there are going to be, differences of thought and opinion. And so,
Yeah.
some spaces aren't going to be safe for all
That
people.
requires humility.
It just does.
Of like, you need to be willing to admit that you did the hurting. And you also need to be willing to speak up when you are hurt. It's like a two-way street. It's not just ouch, but it's also I'm sorry.
Yeah, 100%.
And truly meaning it, not just saying it to placate, because those are two very different things.
Yep.
But that's a whole different topic.
It truly is. Do I have it here? I thought I might have this thing. Maybe not. There's this term CPR that we use in my field. Oh, I do have it. Calm yourself, practice humility, and then repair. So when you've heard how you have harmed someone, whether this is by telling someone who is sharing their bisexuality with you for the first time, if you say back to them, what do you mean? Right? You can't do that. You're just trying to be cool right now. Like you've had this male boyfriend for forever.
Yeah.
Like get over yourself, right? You're such a pick-me girl. Like, ugh. Okay. But if somebody says back to you, ouch, that hurt, please don't do that to me. The response for the person who has done the harm is this CPR. Calm yourself, practice humility, and repair. It's so beautiful that it says like, don't respond back with, you're just being sensitive. I didn't mean it like that. You shouldn't be offended. I was just kidding. It's...
Oh, the just kidding. I get that one all the time. I used to do that. I will not lie. I've done that. Like, saying, just kidding. Like, nope, that doesn't erase the harm. Even if you were kidding. Don't care.
Yep. Taking responsibility, this practicing humility and taking responsibility and focusing, and love this piece, on the impact of your words or actions, not your intent. I think gosh, right? Like intention isn't what we're questioning.
No.
Usually in these instances, it's that words hurt.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I bet you didn't understand how you were perceived. That hurt me. And yeah, we can do a lot to make spaces, whether they are friendships or hangout spaces or churches or whatever, safer for folks who are exploring their bisexuality. A lot safer if we practice the CPR method.
CPR. We love her.
We'll put the link down in the notes.
We will.
Yeah. I have so many other things I could say about this. Yeah. Do you want to talk about personal experiences or
Ooh, yeah.
things you've heard or that have been hurtful or
Just lived
helpful?
experience, yeah. There have been so many of those, many things of hurtful and helpful things. I think I had an interesting experience with my coming out because I think straight people generally don't understand that coming out is not just like a one and done. Like it's a perpetual always thing, especially if it's like a later in life. It's like you see somebody from old times and you're like, oh, now I have to tell them too. Like it's not just the new people.
Right.
It's the hardest part is like, yeah, it's just so many people all the time of like a constant, hey, update. Like if you didn't know this about me, it's like trying to find a way to integrate it into a conversation is really hard.
Why? There's something in my body that's like, why do you need to tell anybody? Why do you feel like you need to tell people? Like, why is it their business? Maybe I'm being devil's advocate.
I tell people, I guess that's true. It does. Not everybody has to tell somebody.
Maybe it's my mama bear reaction. I'm like, no one deserves
nobody
to know
needs to
her
know.
sexual orientation. I'm like, I'll punch him.
For me, I like it. Like for me, it's empowering.
Okay.
Especially to tell people almost from my old life.
Yeah.
To be like, this is who I am now. And almost of like because I've done so much changing, like audience knows this probably from listening. Like I have made probably a complete 180 in not terms of personality. I'm still the same human, but like beliefs and desires and yeah, just the life that I've built for myself is very different than the life that I left. And it's very interesting for me to then see people from that old life because I almost reintroduce myself.
Literally what I was about to say.
It feels like a you knew version 1.3. Here is version 3.7. I would like to introduce myself. It's like it feels different for me. So for old people, that's why I tell them because I'm like, this is new me. If you don't like her, that's great. You don't need to be in this life. But for new people that I'm getting to know, it's just like fun. I think that no matter what we try, labels are always going to influence how we perceive people. So I like to almost like get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Holland. And then I don't say like I'm bisexual. It's not like sentence 1, 2, 3. It's more like, I don't know. I try to integrate it into conversation.
So sorry, everybody. I have a cold. Woo!
Okay,
I think we're done.
It's okay if you're not.
You don't handshake and you're like, hey,
no, I don't
I'm Holland.
Hi, I'm
nice
Holland.
to meet you.
I'm bisexual.
I'm bisexual.
That's not how I introduce myself most of the time.
Because if
I've
you
done
do,
it before.
I'm going to start saying, hey, I'm Lauren. I'm heterosexual with a twist. Just make it
like a dirty martini.
Straight up.
I like people to know it about me. I'll just leave it at that. As simple as can be. I like people to know that I'm bisexual. It feels like a very big part of me, especially in this stage where I'm really starting to embrace it. And so for me, I want people to know.
It just got me thinking, and I thought, what another fun thing that we could kind of begin with this audience of, what if we always invite people to reintroduce themselves to us?
Oh my
God, what
yeah.
if we see like a friend who we haven't seen in a while, and instead of just launching in, we start with, hey, like before we start, like reintroduce yourself to me. What would you meeting me now for the first time?
Yeah.
How would you introduce yourself to me? Because this is something I've been pondering a lot, is that I still live in the same place where I grew up. And I am struggling with not projecting onto the other folks who live in this community who have known me for forever, this assumption that they still think I'm the same person.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've just been fighting that. Like, you know what? I have grown. Yes, I am who knows what version of myself, 7, 8.6. And maybe they are too.
Yeah.
Like, I've just decided now that, nah, I don't know. I'm done. I've decided, wow, I was robbing them of agency. And that instead, I will just, reintroduce myself or ask them to do the same if we end up in a conversation.
Yeah, because then it also gives you the opportunity to say, okay, I want you in this version's chapter or not. I like that.
It just could be really cool if we
That's a
all
good-
started doing that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good perspective shift for you too. I'm like really proud of you for doing that.
I very much don't believe in victim mindsets, but I think I was really kind of getting stuck in it here and have just recently made this decision that no. Like it's kind of yucky of my heart to think that it's just me who grows. What? No, everybody grows. Maybe not in the same directions, right? Maybe they felt the sun a different way and they started growing towards that sun ray. But yeah, everybody's at least owed that. And then we can mutually decide if we still want to gather in the same space.
But I think the reintroduction is such a great way to like make that decision.
Yeah.
Like here is new me and new you. Do they match?
And I know there's like not always space and time for some of those types of things, but I do think that sometimes
like upon coincidence.
Yeah, we run into someone at a place and
Especially here.
Especially here.
We be running into people left and right.
All over. We love you, small town.
We
if you're
love
listening
you
to this
sometimes.
and you live here. It can be really beautiful. It really can. I don't know. I know that in my human design, I'm supposed to learn things and then share them. So this is my lesson that I'm learning.
I like it.
I know other people live in small towns too.
Yeah.
Where they've reinvented themselves and then feel a little trapped. So that's my little nuance right now that I definitely think if, Kinseys Scale, which really is true, if we're all moving on the scale from heterosexual to homosexual in our lives, we should always get to be reintroducing. Maybe it's not quite as bold as Holland's, but like we should get to. Hi.
Hey.
There's another video too that we watched in sex school that I'll try to find so you can put it in the comments. But it's like somebody drew out on the ground like boxes basically, and these men came back basically over a period of a really long time. They jumped into these boxes of how heterosexual or homosexual they were, and it's men, and it's really beautiful. So I'll try to find the video, but it just we're all fluid.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And like off that same video of what you were mentioning, like I used to say when I first discovered my bisexuality, I was within a hetero relationship, and it was that felt safety and like that comfort of that relationship in which I found my desire for women. And I used to say at that time, like, oh, I'm, 30% attracted to women, 70% attracted to men. Like I would try to give it numbers. And then like, as you just shaking her head. She's just like, absolutely not.
That's good. Good discovery. Makes sense though. I mean, mathematically, I guess it makes sense.
I love me some good logic. I love to logic my way out of my emotions because they scare me. They used to, not anymore. Anyway, so
she's over that.
Yeah, I've stopped.
Emotions are no longer scary to her. She's embraced them.
I really embrace those suckers. But at the time, I was really struggling with that. And I have learned, though, like throughout the few years that I've known and accepted and embraced the bisexuality, like it fluctuates. Yeah. It fluctuates hard. There are some times where I really just want a man. Not even kidding. Like there are some times I just, not even sex. Like I want the presence of a man. Like it really fluctuates depending on circumstance and what I want at that time, and who knows what else it depends on. It just happens occasionally, and it's fun. It's like a fun spectrum of learning all the time.
Can we talk to those in a het relationship who are waking up to their bisexuality and ways in which to consensually explore / have conversations, these types of things.
Yeah, that's a interesting topic. It's hard. I won't lie to you. It feels a little weird sometimes. Gosh, like we always say, lots of nuance.
Yeah.
For me, I was in a very loving partnership, and he was so open to it and so like celebratory of the fact that I had finally allowed myself, because he was like, girl, I've known. And I was like, really? Shocking. I didn't. So it was interesting.
Knowing you more now, it's just hilarious because we'll be someplace. Helen just strikes up conversation with some beautiful person in a female body.
Yeah.
And the person will leave and she'll be like,
I just start giggling.
and she'll say something like, I think I was flirting with that person or something. I'm like, really? Like, yeah.
And I've always been this way.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is what this partner that
Yeah.
she's referencing was mentioning.
Yeah.
Like,
that aspect of me has always been that way.
and it is so beautiful, y'all. Like it is not that in any way inappropriate. It is beautifully appropriate.
Yeah. No, it's not gross.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, very consensual, but very funny.
But very
because-
obviously
yeah,
flirting.
like at the rock climbing gym.
That's what I was mentioning. I just didn't want to, tell your own
No,
story.
that's
But that is
full blown. There was
100%
a
the
girl
thing
on a date, and we were there together, and we weren't there with that girl. Lauren and I were there. There was a girl on a date there.
looking like our lesbian selves doing a rock climbing
we
date
looked
together.
really gay.
Uh-huh.
But then she also looks queer, and she talked to us first.
She was on a date with a person in a male body.
Yeah, and she was like, "Is he looking at my butt when I'm climbing?" And I was like, I don't know. And so we started looking, but he wasn't. Anyway, wasn't about that. The fact was, I was obsessed with her and asked her to give me a tattoo tour, which is the most queer thing you can do. And then she asked me if I had any. I said, yeah, and I took off my shirt.
She was wearing a very covered sports bra.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like she just stripped off.
No, I was wearing like an athletic top.
Yeah.
Underneath a long sleeve top. And so I took off the long sleeve top to show her my arm tattoo. And it was just really entertaining to look back on that now.
And just like cheered for her as she was climbing. And I mean, it was just fresh and like, yeah, like we got to hear all about this person's date and Helen's just encouraging the whole thing. It was just beautiful. It was really beautiful.
I love to flirt with women. Anyway, so things like that have been happening for a long time. So my partner knew. So I didn't really have that nervous part of like, oh, I'm finding it out on my own and now I need to tell my partner. So I can't really speak to that because my partner was like, yeah, I know. He's actually the one that brought it up. So,
Okay.
I don't know. Do you have any advice for that conversation? I feel like just on the same theme of be honest.
One of my things that I love to say is when it comes to exploring our sexuality, I think we bring our partners into the mix later than we should.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good thing to bring our partners in if we are in some type of committed, monogamous, long-term partnership agreement right from the start.
Yeah.
Start having, you start noticing the girl on the street. Tell your partner. You start fantasizing about this woman-on-woman sex.
Yeah.
Tell your partner. I think culture, everything that Holland and I just spent the first 30 minutes talking about, makes us feel shameful for these things. But I want to consider the alternative, which is when you keep something inside for months and months and months, years and years and years, then spring it on your partner when you have this like well thought out plan for leaving them to go be with a person who supports bisexuality. You're doing the same thing that little Lauren was doing in her community.
Yeah.
Which is assuming someone's response.
Yeah.
Instead of way from the beginning being like, I'm having these thoughts.
Yeah.
They're really turning me on, right? That's it. That's all. Because that's usually how these things are happening. And then seeing, right? Then judging these responses that are coming back to you appropriately. Sharing, ouch, that kind of hurt my feelings. I really want to lean into this more, right? If you get called homo or fag back, you should be doing some assessment. But perhaps your partner might say,
I know.
I've suspected as much. What do we want to do about this? Do we want to pull up some porn and both like enjoy this together?
Yeah.
Do we want to, I don't know, invent some fantasy? Do we want to read some erotic literature together? Do we want to potentially start discussing a consensual way to involve another party? There are so many different things, but my number one tool for people listening to this now is don't wait.
Yeah.
Involve your partner now.
Yeah.
And instead of going way down the road and having them feel like you hid a secret from them.
Yeah.
Because that might be the thing that ultimately hurts more.
Yeah. The secret hiding. Yeah.
Yeah. I know we have a tendency to want to have it all figured out. And if your partner's not a safe person,
Then, yeah, maybe reconsider a lot of things.
that,
More
right?
than just
If
that.
we're afraid to tell our partners
Yeah.
things, we might need to be having more difficult
Yeah.
conversations, which is always what Helen and I are going to say,
Yeah.
which is always going to be not the most fun answer.
Yeah.
But I think we might need to move ourselves to a different space. But please don't do that until you've tried it out.
Yeah.
I always tell clients
And give yourself permission.
that are in marriages, of course you get divorced. You always get divorced. And you could try some of these communication techniques on inside of your marriage if you want, see if that helps, then get divorced.
You can try things and then do the dramatic
Yeah.
option.
I just think we come with us to every different partnership, every different situationship. We owe it to ourselves to start really practicing the uncomfortable tool of being uncomfortable.
Yeah. I agree. Especially with sexuality.
Especially. But also just know that, and Helen, you alluded to this in the very beginning, but I want to make sure we sit on it. You are bisexual enough if you are inside of a heterosexual relationship and you love looking at porn of same sex, if you love looking at women, if you love fantasizing about women, and I'm talking to the femme presenting people with vulvas out there who are partnered to a person with a penis, you're bisexual enough. You do not need to prove to anyone or like do something dramatic. You are. Same thing to the men in a relationship with a woman with all the genitalia assigned at birth. If you love gay porn, if you love erotic stories about men, if you love watching men and you love men, except you've chosen to partner yourself to a person with a vulva and a vagina, you're bisexual enough. It is okay. This pitting everybody against each other. Not here for it.
There's like not a barometer for your queerness. You're queer if you feel queer. Period. Like there's nothing more to it. If you identify as queer, then you're queer, babe. Welcome to the community.
Yes.
We are just as rambunctious and crazy as most people's families. It's who we are.
And most people in your family are a little bit queer.
Yeah, they are. It's like 1 in 4 people.
Yeah, and research shows, here's a little bit of research meeting reality, that the more homophobic a person is, the more homosexual their leanings are.
Yeah.
And usually there is a system of repression in their lives,
Yeah.
whether it is parental or religious. So just consider. And you can choose to use a trauma-informed lens if you want. You don't have to. You can also boundary yourself from people who are hateful. But most of the time, when there is intense homophobia, it is coming from suppression of same-sex leaning.
Yep.
And desire.
Yep. I've been there. I was that girl. You did not want to know me in high school. Trust me.
Yeah. Anything else that we didn't cover?
Just that I have re-downloaded Hinge and the beautiful women are there.
I was back on the apps. Wait, I thought they kicked you off. No, that was
Bumble because I connected the Sex Ed for You Instagram.
Oops.
And they didn't like that. It was sad. I wish I could say it was something more entertaining than that, but it was really just that. No, I got on Hinge and I haven't been on Hinge here yet. Apparently Hinge is where all the really hot women hide because goddamn. And then I opened it to men and I was like, ugh.
Fish picture.
Literally so many fish.
To our male audience.
Stop.
And I know you're out there because you tell us you're listening. Stop posting fish photos
And all group photos.
Bro photos. We love seeing that you have friends.
Yeah. Well,
just make sure that there's a solid photo of you so I know who you are in your group photo of friends.
yeah, of your face, preferably. I would like to see your face, not your back muscles or your ab muscles or your thigh muscles or your calf muscles or, God, why am I dating men right now again?
So weird. Guys, you're so wonderful. Talk about like,
Yeah.
there's no, I know. There's
If
so
you're a
much
man
fear
on
of
a
failure.
dating app, go find a woman, show her your dating
Yeah.
profile, and say, help. They will help you, and it will probably benefit you and your sex life.
Trey literally did that. I should give like a master class on why Trey's dating app profile was so effective. The first photo was so good and direct eye contact.
Ooh,
And I
he
was
does have good eyes.
He has great eyes. But I was also like, this guy, he'll like selfie. If I send him a selfie, he'll send me a selfie back. I know he will. He won't just like eye roll.
Yeah.
The amount of selfies Trey and I send back to and forth to each other. So
love
sexy.
that.
And I knew for me, I needed that. But then, there were photos with some friends, but after like 3 photos of himself, but also what he was looking for, what he wasn't looking for, what he enjoyed, what he didn't. And it was pretty short and sweet. But my gosh, no more fish.
No more fish. I don't care about your fish. I'm so sorry. That has nothing to do with whether I will want to sleep with you or not.
The size of your fish. No.
Wink, wink.
Okay. We'll wrap up here.
Yep.
What a great subject.
Thanks.
Y'all, I'm sure we just scratched the surface.
Oh, there's so much more.
There's so much more. So if you want to learn more, if you are in a bi-curious place and you want to work one-on-one with a certified holistic sexuality educator, you can go to sexedforyou.com/free consult and let Holland know why you'd be an ideal candidate for some individual sex ed. And then you and I can chat. We can have a free consult for about 15 minutes and talk about what's going on in your life and some tools and how I would work with you. If you're not in a place for that, but you still want to learn and expand, we do have Hemlock. It's our monthly membership program. And you can go to that same sexedforyou.com/Hemlock to learn more. And then there's always so much free content just on our Instagram, which is at sex_ed_for_you. And if you have any questions, feedback, concerns, want to share some ouches, you can always DM us or message us on underneath, but you can always send Holland an email, admin@sexedforyou.com. We take feedback really seriously and welcome it because that's how we grow. And remember, speaking of, that these are just opinions. And yes, some research will always be sprinkled in, but you can always ask us for our sources. And we love for you to make your own informed decisions. You have a right to self-determination. And go make your own opinions.
Yep.
It's really fun and sexy.
Slay.
Bye.
Bye.